welcome back. The Phala Phala report and its subsequent fallout has done little to help the ANC's reputation. Corruption allegations are nothing new to the ruling party, with numerous leaders implicated over the years. Infighting has also become a part of regular programming. But what does the latest scandal mean for both President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as the party he leads? Can the ANC bounce back from this? Let's discuss this further with brand and reputation management expert Solly Moeng. Mr. Moeng, thank you so much for your time. So President Ramaphosa has always been a very likable person, enjoying more support even than the party he is the head of. No doubt he has suffered huge reputational damage from this. And yesterday he was even considering resigning, some praising him for standing up for what he believes is the right thing to do.
Oh, I don't know.
But would his resignation as brand damage control be effective in any way whatsoever?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Unfortunately, we have lost your visuals, but I can hear you. As we try and regain those visuals, perhaps you can just give us an answer in the meantime.
Yeah. Look, the brand and ANC, Brand Ramaphosa has been suffering for a number of years. I think the Phala Phala scandal has just precipitated the fall, as it were. And brand ANC, since the arrival of Ramaphosa, had almost uniquely relied on the good feeling, with the positive image that Ramaphosa brought into the ANC. Even the previous Gauteng premier once said, look, without Ramaphosa, there's no way that we would have won the elections, the last elections in 2019. So when Ramaphosa falls the way he has, reputationally speaking, it definitely hurts the ANC even more, and it hurts South Africa. In other words, he was almost like the sole anchor for brand ANC. And if he decides to leave tomorrow, I don't see how the ANC is going to stay together. And he did say at some point that he preferred to be seen as a weak South African president than to see his party split under him. But it's happening in any case. And I think he really needs to think more about South Africa, as his spokesperson has been saying. He needs to realize that the longer he takes making a decision, the more turmoil is going to create in the financial markets, the money markets. He needs to very quickly make a decision to say, I'm staying or I'm not staying, and then let's deal with the ramifications of that.
Interesting that you say that should President Ramaphosa exit or fall very, very publicly, that you doubt that the ANC would survive that, because the ANC surely has survived worse. Looking at the corruption scandals of the past, we've seen some things swept under the carpet, some things come to light that the public have been astounded at, jaw-dropping, and yet the ANC has made gains or still maintain their majority at the polls during such very difficult times. So what do you think the ANC is likely to do to try and claw back some reputation?
Well, look, unlike many South Africans, I do not entirely trust that the so-called Independent Electoral Commission has not been tampered with. There are indications, reports, even from within, that it's been tampered with. So I don't think that all of the ANC's wins in the past have been as robust and credible as we've been led to believe. We need to make sure that the Independent Electoral Commission is clearly free of SARTU, ANC influence, and then we'll see the real outcome of South Africa's preference at election times. But the ANC is damaged goods. Of course, it's really up to the parties in the opposition to win the elections a lot of times, more than just the ANC has to lose the elections. They have to organize themselves, and the more political parties we have you see in the opposition, the more they split the cake, the more everybody thinks they're going to come in there and become the next big makulubas for South African politics. They need to get together and agree on what South Africa needs at this stage, leave their egos behind, and get together on some kind of national collaboration, coalition for South Africa ahead of the elections, not after the elections. And the ANC knows, the ANC knows that when South Africa is united against it on any ground, it gets left alone, naked.
Let's talk about brand South Africa, because ultimately the people on the ground, us South Africans, are excluded from what's happening at the moment and we're merely spectators. However, the economic fallout does affect us very, very personally. So how do we manage the situation with investors who have said that they're not really concerned with the political machinations, they're more concerned with long-term change, and a change of leadership would affect their confidence in South Africa as investors. But the question is, how do we manage the situation broadly, and has President Cyril Ramaphosa's silence since Wednesday contributed to the doubt from investors?
Yeah, definitely. Look, we've seen the headlines in America, in Europe, about the doubt that's happening because of the potential of Ramaphosa leaving office. They have no, as you say, investors want to have a sense of a long-term view of a market. South Africa has not been able to offer them a long-term view of a market from a political policy, economic policy perspective, and the ANC that remains split is unlikely to be able to offer that kind of long-term view to investors. South Africans have to be the first ones to be given the hope that something will happen to save the country. The ANC has not, even those people who voted for the ANC have not all been members of the ANC. There are many South Africans who swing from party to party. There are people who've given the ANC another chance, but they're not going to keep doing that forever. So if South Africans themselves are not able to have confidence in the ANC, there's no way that they can send positive messages across. Because we're also talking about South Africans in the diaspora. They too need to be able to send positive messages about South Africa wherever they are. But they cannot do so when the ANC on South Africa, because it still controls the image and the narrative about South Africa around the world, when it's not able to send a clear, cohesive message, especially to the markets around the world. Without Ramaphosa, we're going to hear people starting to talk about the nationalization of the Reserve Bank, for instance, and other policies that don't make sense, that can never be afforded in the current climate. But it's the things you see a lot of emotion in ANC policy making. You see more emotion than rationale. And at least Ramaphosa, despite his failings, has brought a semblance of thinking, but he has unfortunately not been consistent, and he has not been able to stand on a moral high ground to say to others, this is how far things go, this is how they stop. So you see, even before, since the end of apartheid, he's the sole African National Congress leader who is defied by even members of his own cabinet who call him names and almost insult him in the public. This is unprecedented.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. That was brand and reputation management expert Moeng talking to us about the broader fallout of the Phala Phala scandal. We'll bring you more